Dean Morales stood hunched under the wing of a grounded Gulfstream G700 as the wind howled across the airport tarmac and blew dust into his face. The freezing metal bit into his palms as he pried open the panel with calloused hands. He was underpaid, overworked, and 30 minutes from his final warning. He would walk home once more, probably for good this time, if he didn't start this engine. His hands weren't shaking for that reason, though. He hadn't told anyone, not even his sister, but Dean hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. His paycheck had vanished into overdue bills, and his car, the one thing left from his late father, was sitting in a tow yard with a $600 ransom. This was recent life, one long run of bad luck that was held together by only steadfast hope. Then came the voice. "Is it serious?" Dean startled, bumping his head on the panel. He turned, expecting another stressed-out airport official. But the woman standing there didn't belong on a tarmac. She wore an immaculate ivory pantsuit, her sleek braid whipping behind her like a comet's tail. Diamond studs winked in her ears. However, it wasn't her attire or posture. Rather, it was the way she looked at him. He wasn't invisible at all. It's not like he was a bother, as if he were necessary, Dean muttered, wiping his hands on his oil-stained uniform. "I'm trying." Engines giving a fault code that doesn't make sense. Could be a sensor, could be a broken heart, could be me. The woman blinked, then laughed. Not the polite, distant kind. It was real, warm, and a little surprised. She extended a hand and said, "Then we're in the same boat. I'm Jules." He shaken it. Her grip was firm, but there was something else there too, something tired, like she'd been running her whole life and just now wondered what for. Jules Donovan had been on her way to an emergency investor meeting in Zurich when her jet stalled on taxi. She'd fired 2 assistants that morning, dodged 3 marriage proposals in the past year, and hadn't had a genuine conversation in weeks. Her calendar was full, but her life was empty. And now, here she was, grounded, literally, and watching a mechanic with grease on his cheek quote poetry to a broken jet. "Do you do this often?" she asked, leaning closer. "What? Talk to machines?" "No. Do amazing things when no one else can." Dean smirked, the first real smile she'd seen all week. "Only if somebody is watching." That's when the panel light flickered green. The jet systems purred to life. Dean stepped back like he didn't quite believe it. "It worked." "I believe you mean you worked," Jules said, eyes locked on him. And then something shifted. A stillness, like the world paused just for a second to let 2 people see each other clearly. If she felt like a royal, Dean expected a thank you and possibly even a generous tip. But instead, Jules looked him dead in the eye and asked, "Are you seeing anyone?" He laughed, assuming she was joking. "No, ma'am. Too busy fixing other people's lives to look after my own." Jules tilted her head. "Marry me." Silence. Dean blinked. I'm sorry." "What?" "I'm serious," Jules said. "Right here, right now. You saved my flight, but it's more than that. I've spent years around people who say yes because they want something. You just showed up. No ego, no slant, just effort and honesty. I need more of that in my life, even if it starts with something crazy." Dean opened his mouth, then closed it. His first reaction was to laugh and ignore it, but then he looked into her eyes and saw it, that same exhausted loneliness he carried in his chest every day. "No offense," he said slowly, "but people like you don't usually talk to people like me." Jules replied softly, "That's the problem." They didn't get married on the tarmac, that day not. Instead, they talked for 3 hours on a toolbox under a $1 billion plane, about dreams, about disappointments, about what it costs to be kind in a world that rarely rewards it. She gave him her number by the end. He gave her a ride in the airport shuttle because he still didn't have his car back. Dean wore a tailored black suit to a gala fundraiser 6 months later, and he still had a faint motor oil odor. Jules took his hand and introduced him to every executive in the room as the man who grounded me just long enough to remind me what matters. 1 year after that, under a sunset sky on a beach neither of them could pronounce, Jules got down on one knee and asked him again, with a ring this time. Dean consented, not because of the jet, not as a result of wealth. However, due to the fact that for the first time in his life, he was able to see the soul through the grime and grease. And that's the thing about kindness. It doesn't just fix engines, it fixes people. It disrupts lives. Dean didn't just fix a plane that day. He helped a woman find her heart. And in return, she helped him realize his own had been working just fine all along. It had just been waiting for someone who'd stop and listen to its hum. The lesson of the story: never underestimate the power of showing up. Sometimes, the smallest act of care can open the door to the biggest chapters of our lives.